Most people think money gets better when income gets better. I used to think that too. Work a little harder, get a raise, get a better job, find a side hustle, push through a few more years, then life will finally start to feel lighter. That is what a lot of people believe. And yet I have watched millions of people work, earn, try, sacrifice, and still remain frightened every time the first of the month comes around. That tells you something important. The paycheck was never the whole story. A larger paycheck can help, a smaller paycheck can hurt. I am not naive about arithmetic, but if 7 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck, then we are not looking at a handful of bad choices made by a few foolish people. We are looking at a system of living that is swallowing people whole. That is what I would want you to understand first. The problem is not merely that people do not make enough. The problem is that most people have no machine. Money comes in, bills go out, apps take their slice, subscriptions take their slice, debt takes its slice, fear takes its slice, impulse takes its slice, and then people stand there at the end of the month feeling ashamed, wondering how they are still stuck. They are stuck because they do not have a system. And when you do not have a system, someone else has one for you. I learned that lesson a long time ago. Either you have a plan for your money, or someone else has a plan for your money. That sentence sounds simple. It is brutal in practice because if you do not direct your income, then the economy will direct it for you. Your phone will direct it for you. Advertisers will direct it for you. Credit card companies will direct it for you. Store cards will direct it for you. The entire convenience economy will direct it for you. People like to think they are making isolated choices. Very often they are just participating in a machine that was designed to separate them from their future. And if you never stop to see that machine clearly, you can spend 20 years earning money without ever building freedom. That is why I do not start with budgeting jargon. I start with something much more important. Hope. A person without hope does not organize. A person without hope does not open the statements. A person without hope does not build the file folders. A person without hope does not make the phone calls. A person without hope keeps telling themselves that the problem is too large, too late, too embarrassing, too tangled, too exhausting to face. I understand that feeling. Money can humiliate people. There is a particular kind of humiliation that comes from being an adult who is working hard and still feels behind. It is one thing to be broke at 22 and tell yourself the story that youth will save you. It is another to be 41, deeply in debt, opening bills with your pulse racing and your stomach turning. It is another thing entirely to have children, or to have a marriage under stress, or to have a spouse die, or to face divorce, or to realize that you were not paying attention to the machinery of your life because you thought someone else had it handled. At that moment, money is no longer just arithmetic. It becomes identity, it becomes fear, it becomes grief. It becomes the story you tell yourself about whether you are capable of saving your own life. That is why I never laugh at people who are overwhelmed by money. I do not judge them for feeling trapped, but I also know something they often do not know yet. It is not too late unless you give up. That is not motivational fluff. That is a structural truth. You may not be able to fix everything in a day. You may not get out of debt in a month. You may not repair years of avoidance by next Tuesday. But the moment you begin taking control, the direction changes. And that matters more than most people realize. People think relief arrives only when the debt is gone. That is not true. Relief often starts the moment order enters the room, the moment you print the statements, the moment you stop pretending, the moment you line up the cards, the balances, the bills, the due dates, the accounts, the passwords. The retirement plans, the automatic subscriptions, the hidden leaks. That moment is not glamorous, but it is powerful, because once money becomes visible, it becomes governable. This is one of the great hidden truths of financial life. You start to feel better before the numbers are fixed. You start to feel better when the chaos stops being nameless. That is why I would tell anyone living paycheck to paycheck, anyone buried in credit card debt, anyone frightened of widowhood, divorce, job loss, or starting over, that your first task is not to become sophisticated. Your first task is to become organized. You need a money date, not a vague intention. A date, a block of time where you sit down, open the drawers, log into the accounts, Gather the files, print the statements, and stop letting your financial life remain some dark room in the house you are scared to enter. I am old-fashioned enough to like file folders for this. One for every credit card, one for the bank, one for the mortgage or rent, one for the retirement account, one for insurance. One for taxes, one for wills and estate documents, one for passwords and lists of institutions, one for things you know you should have, but do not yet. People think organization is clerical. It is not. Organization is emotional relief. Organization is power. Organization is the point at which you stop being ambushed by your own life. And once the papers are in front of you, the next truth emerges. Most people do not have a money problem. They have a no-plan problem. That is more dangerous than it sounds. A no-plan life feels normal because money still moves. Rent gets paid. Mostly the card minimum gets paid. Usually the groceries get bought. The streaming services stay on. The direct deposits land. The life continues. What nobody notices is that the future is not being funded. Or if it is being funded, it is being funded weakly, accidentally, apologetically. That is why I like the phrase, pay yourself first. Most people pay everyone else first. Landlord first, lender first, store card first, subscription first, phone bill first, impulse first, then whatever is left is expected to become their future. It rarely works. You do not build freedom from leftovers. You build freedom from intention. And that is why the first true rule of wealth in America, in my judgment, is that 1 hour a day of your income belongs to your future before it belongs to the rest of the world. People hear that and they panic. They think I am asking them to perform surgery without anesthesia. An hour a day, 12.5% of gross income. For many people that sounds absurd. They are already stretched, already stressed, already convinced that there is nothing left to save. But what they do not yet understand is that the automatic system changes behavior faster than willpower ever will. If that first hour of income is pulled out before you can negotiate against it, then your life starts adjusting around a different reality. At first it feels tight, then it feels normal, then it feels wise. Then years later, it feels like the moment the entire game changed. That is how automation works. It does not wait for you to become a perfect person. It protects you from the imperfect one. This is why I care so much about automatic retirement contributions. If you have a 401k, use it. If there is a match, take it. If there is no match, contribute. Anyway, if you have to start at 1% because that is all your nervous system can handle, then start at 1%. Do something. The first mistake people make is waiting to feel ready. The second mistake is thinking small actions do not matter. The third mistake is assuming they can do it later when life is calmer. Life is almost never calmer. That is the trick. The people who build wealth are not always those with perfect timing. They are the ones who begin before life gives them permission. You can go from 1% to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 5, from 5 to 8, from 8 to 12. But the most important part is not the final number. It is that the machine is turned on, because once the machine is on, the future begins, and when the future begins, hope becomes rational. I want to be very clear about something else. Automation is not only for retirement. Retirement is one pillar, security is another. Dreams are another. This is how I think a sane financial life should be structured. First, the retirement account. That is future freedom. That is not for vacations. That is not for your car. That is not for your kitchen. That is not for I deserve this. That is the future. Second, a security account, an emergency fund, a money market account, a high-yield savings account. Call it what you want. It is there so that every setback does not become new debt. Too many people use emergency money for lifestyle upgrades and then wonder why every inconvenience still knocks them flat. An emergency fund is not for fantasy. It is for when life bites you. Third, a dream account. This is one of the most underrated ideas in personal finance. People tell themselves they cannot save because they have too many wants between now and retirement. Let's stop pretending all wants are the same. Create a separate bucket for them. The trip, the home project, the move, the wedding, the thing you actually care about. When you fund dreams directly, you stop using chaos as your planner. This three-part structure matters because it gives your money jobs, and money with jobs behaves better than money left standing around waiting to be seduced. Now I know exactly what some people are thinking. That sounds wonderful if you have a good salary. What about the person who is 23, living with roommates, trying to survive the worst job market they have ever seen, carrying student loans, and barely making rent? My answer is the same. The structure still matters. Maybe the amounts are smaller. Maybe the percentages begin modestly. Maybe the Roth IRA starts with $50 a month. Maybe the emergency fund begins with $10 a day in a jar, if that is all your nervous system can tolerate. Maybe the dream account stays empty while you first fight for breathing room. But do not tell me structure does not matter, because money is tight. Structure matters more when money is tight. It is in tight seasons that leaks become lethal. It is in tight seasons that store cards become traps. It is in tight seasons that subscriptions, delivery habits, and convenience spending quietly become the reason nothing improves. This is why I tell young people to stop taking credit cards out casually, stop opening store cards because someone at checkout offered 10% off. Stop pretending the little cards do not matter. Those cards are not harmless. They are traps wrapped in retail smiles. If you have 1 or 2 cards and you pay them off in full every month, fine, but once cards start multiplying, the system starts owning you. Late fees, penalty rates, forgotten due dates, a wallet full of promises made by your weaker self. That is not freedom. That is fragmentation. This is one reason I tell people in debt to pay off the smallest balance. First, not because the internet math police approve of it. They often do not. But because closing accounts restores order and momentum. Momentum matters. A vanished payment matters. A closed card matters. A visible win matters. The fastest way to reduce fear is to create evidence that the machine can move. And once that first card is gone, the payment rolls forward. Then the next card shrinks, then the next. Then something subtle but profound begins to happen. You stop feeling cursed, you start feeling capable. That is worth more than most spreadsheets. Purists admit because debt is not only arithmetic, it is behavior under pressure, and people under pressure need progress they can feel. Now let me step back and tell you what I believe is happening in this economy at a much bigger level. We are living in an automatic economy. That sentence is not just a phrase. It is a warning. Everything today wants to be attached to your income, automatically streaming software, food, transport, memberships, phones, beauty, supplements, cloud storage, fitness, retail, entertainment. Every company wants to convert your paycheck into their recurring revenue. They do not want one purchase. They want the lifetime value of you. That is what you are up against. Your phone is no longer just a tool. It is either helping you build wealth or helping other people extract it from you with astonishing efficiency. That means financial adulthood now requires more than earning. It requires defense against frictionless spending, defense against monthly payment thinking, defense against the emotional seduction of convenience, defense against the belief that because something is normal, it is harmless. This is why values matter so much. You must know what you care about enough to compare it against where your money is actually going. A person may tell you that family matters most. Then you look at the statements and see status spending, random convenience subscriptions no one uses, food delivery, late fees, and impulse shopping devouring the very dollars that could have bought time with family or less stress at home. That is not temporary, it is unexamined living. Once the values are written down and the expenses are lined up beside them, many people feel a kind of awakening. They realize they are funding conflict with their own values. That realization is painful. It is also liberating because once you see the mismatch, the question becomes clearer. Do I want to keep funding the old life, or do I want to start funding the one I say I want? This is the same for people buying homes. Home ownership is one of the great escalators to wealth in America, I believe that. But the first home is rarely a dream home. That is another lie people tell themselves. They want the polished version first. The perfect neighborhood, the perfect size, the perfect feeling. That approach destroys people. The first home should be about entry, not fantasy. A foothold, not a masterpiece. A start, not a statement. If you come from a family that cannot help with a down payment, then you must replace inheritance with planning. That may mean smaller. Further out, longer saving, living with family for a season, sharing with roommates longer than feels glamorous. A less exciting first move. I do not care about glamour, I care about trajectory. Money respects trajectory. That is also why I care about investing simplicity. Most people do not need a thrilling strategy. They need one they will not abandon. Target date funds, broad market index funds, automatic deposits, a Roth IRA opened with a few clicks, a 401k that actually gets used instead of admired from a distance. A rollover done correctly when you change jobs so that you do not cash out the future because the present got loud. The tragedy is that so many people come within reach of wealth systems and then fail to use them. They work retail jobs that actually have retirement plans but never enroll because they think they will not stay long. Then they stay 3 years, 5 years, and nothing was built. They leave a company and cash out a small 401k because the amount seems minor, not realizing they are not spending $10,000. They are spending what $10,000 could have become over 4 decades. That is what most financial mistakes really are, not spending money, spending what the money would have become. Once you understand compounding, the whole world starts looking different. $10 a day is no longer $10 a day. It is a seed. $27.40 a day is no longer just a series of purchases. It is $10,000 a year. It is a future that might have become millions if left alone long enough. People say they do not have anything to save. Often what they mean is that they have not yet examined their habits in the language of time, because time is where compounding lives. And compounding is what transforms ordinary discipline into extraordinary outcomes. This is why I dislike the myth that only high earners can build wealth. High earners can certainly make the process easier. But I have watched too many high earners destroy themselves with lifestyle inflation to believe income alone is the answer. Wealth is built when you keep some of what you make, then automate it, then protect it, then let time become your accomplice. That is what an automatic millionaire really is. Not someone who got lucky, not someone with a secret stock, not someone with a perfect life. An automatic millionaire is a person who built a system strong enough to keep serving their future even when their moods, circumstances, and attention were imperfect. That is all. And that is everything. Now let me say something especially to women, because life has a brutal way of exposing financial dependency. If your spouse handles all the money and you do not know where the accounts are, where the bills are, where the passwords are, whether there is insurance, whether there is a will, where the retirement money is, whether there are old 401k plans lying around, or what the debt actually is, then you are vulnerable. Widowhood happens, divorce happens, illness happens, jobs disappear, cognitive decline happens. No one should outsource their awareness of the household finances, not out of mistrust, out of respect for reality. You need to know everything. Not because you expect disaster tomorrow, because adults protect against disaster before it announces itself. That means wills, file folders, beneficiaries, account lists, money dates, estate documents, where someone can find them. And yes, sometimes uncomfortable conversations while life is still calm. This is not pessimism. This is maturity. And maturity with money is not complicated. It is simply the willingness to face what is true before life forces the lesson. If I had to tell you where freedom begins, I would not tell you it begins with $1 million. Freedom begins the day you decide that your money will no longer arrive and disappear without your consent. Freedom begins when you choose yourself first, even in a small way, when $5 becomes automatic, when $10 becomes a statement, when 1% becomes a habit, when the debt list gets printed, when the first card gets cut up, when the first file folder is filled, when the first emergency dollars are set aside, when the future receives something before the present consumes everything. That is the beginning. And beginnings matter more than people think. Because once the system is in place, the future does not have to be rebuilt every month from scratch. The system keeps working quietly, automatically, patiently. That is what people miss when they say they want to be rich. What they often really want is not wealth, it is relief. And the deepest relief I know is not luxury. It is the knowledge that your life is no longer financially disorganized, that your future is not being ignored, that your money has a map, that your stress is not the only thing managing your household, that your next decade will not be a duplicate of your last one unless you choose it. If I could leave you with one final thought, it would be this: do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait until the debt is gone. Do not wait until the promotion comes. Do not wait until you are less ashamed. Do not wait until life becomes easier, because easier has a habit of never arriving. Start the machine 1 hour a day if you can. 1% if you must. $5 if that is all you can bear today. But start, because the moment you start paying yourself first, you stop being the person the automatic economy feeds on. You begin becoming the person it can no longer leave behind.